Are you overwhelmed with AI? Have some questions maybe you're afraid to ask? Today, we're going to give you the basics, the foundations on the terminology. We're going to talk about what to do if you're just getting started. And we're also going to give you the resources you need to take your business to the next level using AI.
So, Jimmy, this episode is, I think, a reflection of where we are, and the speed of technology is going way fast for literally even for us, and definitely for the agents we talk to. So we decided to take a step back and say, every great thing begins with something small. How do you get started? So we want to kind of underwhelm the agents today. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't get fire hosed with anything. Let's kind of define some things for them and give them a good place to start so that they can have their own, I call it, aha moment with AI, like we've had. So let's start with terminology, because we hear a lot of these terms that agents may or may not be familiar with. We're going to assume that you're really getting started today. And that's really, that this episode is for you.
Yeah, and let me say this. I will say a lot of this, as we've gone back and talked about these things, even as much as I do, some of the conversations that you and I have, there are times where I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that. And so I think even if you're somebody that feels like you've done some things with AI, this is a great way for you. You may see some things and hear some things you haven't thought about. And also it's a great reminder of getting back to the foundation, because ultimately what this product and what this service and what this technology and this basically this intelligence is doing is it is continuously getting better. So some of the things that we're going to be talking about now as foundations, as basics, even if you've been using this, it's changed maybe since we're getting started. So I'm really think this is going to be something that people are going to want to go back and listen to again and again to help them get that foundation.
Yeah, for sure. So my first terminology, AI has been around for a long time, but the first term that we've started to hear a couple of years ago, November 30 of 2022. Wow, we're approaching 2 years now, Jimmy.
Yes.
Is generative AI. This generative AI term is really artificial intelligence that can create new content such as text, images, audio, or video simply by asking it, which is called the word prompt, which we're going to get into, or giving it simple instructions. So that's generative AI from a terminology definition. And we're going to keep the terminology even very basic, 8th grade level today. That's my terminology number one. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I was just going to say my number two is what you've already said, is prompt, because I think a lot of people aren't sure what that is, but basically it's just asking the questions. It's prompting the intelligence to give you an answer. So you want to think of it from that standpoint is if I'm talking to Rajiv and I'm just expecting Rajiv to get me to answer a question of mine, I first have to ask the question, or I first have to let him know what I'm wanting to get back. And so think of it as you're just prompting the intelligence to do the work, so to speak, or have the information it needs to then provide you with the answer you're looking for.
And my next one is building right off of you, is prompt engineering.
Right.
And if you think about, and anytime you hear the word engineering, they feel like, oh, that's a technical term. And you're right, it was a technical term till this whole AI revolution has come up. And prompt engineering now is very simply the skill of crafting effective prompts. So to get the best responses from ChatGPT and models like that. And now people are getting paid to be effective communicators. People that can communicate well, can create better prompts, are going to get better results. It's like if Jimmy and I have the same iPhone, Jimmy may do better videos than me from the same phone because he knows how to use it. And that's where prompting comes in. So as you get more into it, you get better output from it. So prompt engineering is not a technical term.
Yes. And also, I would say if you're basically wondering, you hear the term Chat GPT, sometimes what you have is you have a lot of different types of artificial intelligence models that are out there. It is the foundational one that really kind of kicked everything off. It continues to show options that it's moving very quickly, but there are other options out there like we've talked about in the past. But what I would just encourage you, think of it this way. If you go back and you think of TiVo, remember when TiVo came out? Basically, that was the process of where you were recording on your TV shows so that you could go watch them later. It almost became a verb. You know what I mean? TiVo, Google is it's search, but it just almost became the verb. What we're seeing is when people say Chat GPT, a lot of times there are other different types of formats that are out there, or programs, but Chat GPT is the foundational one. It's the one that has the broadest appeal right now, but it's being continuously having to get better to compete with the others. But that's the foundational one, and that's the one that we have just kind of really built off of, and most people are. So just know this, there are other options out there besides ChatGPT, but when you hear ChatGPT, people are just really talking about this artificial intelligence that is available in a number of different formats.
Yeah, and I think the word you alluded to is LLM, which stands for large language models.
Yes, yes.
And that, I found out, Jimmy, the other day that to run ChatGPT for one day, it's like powering 20,000 homes for electricity.
Right.
So that's a whole other topic for energy and all of the things that needed. But LLMs are really a large cluster of high-performing computers that will process a large amount of data to perform the tasks that we ask AI models like ChatGPT to do. My next one is custom GPTs. It's a personalized version of AI, in this case, ChatGPT, that is tailored really to perform a specific task within a particular area of expertise. And we are coming up with future episodes that will talk about how to build a custom GPT and our must-have six-pack for agents of custom GPTs that we've already built, that you'll have access to. If you just subscribe to the newsletter, we'll talk about the resources coming up. The custom GPT is like having a trained employee for one particular task. And so you'll do more of it because if anything you can document and process, I think you can build a custom GPT for. So I would say that's another term that you should just get comfortable with. And that's another term for us here.
I'll tell you this, you mentioned this, and so let me just make this mention here. If you're curious about how to stay up on all of this, realestateaiflash.com, which is our website. On that, you can get signed up for the newsletter where we give you the up-to-date, everything that's going on that week. But it's got all the resources you'll need right there as well to continue to stay up to date on what's happening there. Any other terms? Are we ready to move into where we get started?
Yeah, no, I think we've hit on all the key terms. There's several more, but let's not get into the details. I think if you understand this, you'll get the gist of other terms that come up. One of the resources I want to, besides our podcast, of course, Jimmy, one of the resources I want to throw out to our agents is an AI playbook that exists at the same site that Jimmy mentioned, realestateaiflash.com. And we keep the playbook updated. It's supposed to be a guiding reference that evolves. So bookmark it, never print it, because it changes and evolves constantly. So getting started, Jimmy. So the way to get started with it, and I heard this quote that I thought was very fascinating. It says, you're not thinking big enough and you're not thinking small enough. So sometimes we get caught up in the bigness of AI, but the smallness of AI is getting started, the power of beginning. So sign up if you haven't yet, sign up for a free ChatGPT account and start experimenting with basic prompts. I call it learn the PPP foundation that we talk about in our playbook, episode number 4. So you get good at prompt engineering. Remember, you can become a good prompt engineer over time. So getting started, I think I would say that, and I turn it over to you to see if you want to add something there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, get your account set up. Use the free version. I think you're going to very quickly see that the $20 a month for the paid version at this point is the best value that I have seen for anything possibly in my lifetime, but it does give you the ability to get started for free. And I would just say you can't break it. So start with some easy things, like start with some basic things. Ask it, if you're a real estate agent, to help you write up a listing description. If you're looking for something and you're just wanting to see kind of the power of it, ask it to write a blog post about 5 best restaurants in your city that you're in. Begin to just test some things. Think about things that you've done for social media content that you do in your business every day. Ask it, utilize, as Rajiv mentioned, go back and utilize the 3 P's, or the 3 P's, and then also use the RISE, what you were talking about, formula, which is basically giving you the ability to understand of giving it a role. In other words, I'm going to use this as an example. So if we're going to do the MLS, I'm going to use that as the example here so people can see. Act as a professional copywriter specializing in MLS descriptions for real estate agents looking to write MLS descriptions or something along those lines. Let's just give it a prompt, you know what I mean? Or basically give it the role that we're looking for. And then we're going to want to give it some additional information. So we want to give it some of the information that's out there about those things. And you please jump in, Rajiv, and correct me on some of these things, because I'm going to do this the way that I just see it very quickly. So you're going to give it details about the house. You're going to give it more information. And then you're going to give it some specifics, like, is there a specific thing that you want it to focus in on? The outdoor living space, whatever it is that you want it to do there. And then what are your expectations? So the expectation portion of this prompt might be, so that, or, so in other words, we're going to give it the role, we're going to give it the information, some specifics, and then we're going to say, write this in a way that it encourages the readers to set an appointment to see the home or something. What are your expectations of this? Make sure you give it the specifics, those expectations, and that's going to really help you when you're thinking about where to get started with one of these basic prompts to really get you going and see the power of this thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think the other piece that you alluded to, Jimmy, is look at the activities you do on a week in, week out basis. Some that you fear because you're just not good at, mundane tasks you don't like to do. And maybe AI can help you there. So the next time you're maybe writing a simple email to your clients, start with ChatGPT and then polish it before sending it and see the savings of time, productivity, etc. And look at your business and what you're doing monthly, weekly, and kind of find a few tasks to automate it and then help you with saving time and or money. And I think we call this the bucket of real estate activities that every agent does or needs to do. And that's where I think AI can fit in well with some of the examples you gave, Jim.
Hey, and I will say, Rajiv, one of the things that I really, when I first started also that was super helpful is that I would ask the question and then the answer would come back and I'd be like, yeah, it's not quite what I was looking for. And then I would just move on. But don't be afraid. It is a conversation. So literally you can come back and say, this is great. Please write it in a more conversational tone. Or this is great. Please write this in a more professional tone or whatever you're trying to do or whatever you wish it had, ask it to make that adjustment and you'll be amazed at how it will do some of the refining for you that will really help get you that end product you're looking for.
Lastly, I would say, Jimmy, I know we talked using AI in a professional sense for your business, etc. But I would also encourage agents to embrace it on a personal level. And I'll give you two examples recently that I went through that we went to Costa Rica not too long ago with two other families, Jim. So we were like a group of 13. So I basically used Perplexity for this. You could use ChatGPT also. Perplexity sort of gives you references, etc. So I gave it all of the details, like with a family of 13, we're going there for 5 days, and all of the dietary restrictions, everything. And it gave me exactly what I should be doing in those 5 days based on the input I gave. That itself probably saved us hours of grief trying to go through all of these things. And so Costa Rica trip is my first example. The second one, my wife gave me a book of my mom. When my mom visited us from India, she wrote all these Indian food recipes. And my mom's writing is easy for some people to read. For some, it was hard. I simply took pictures of every page and uploaded it to ChatGPT, and it transcribed it and made it into a nice recipe book. That how long would that have taken me, even if I started writing, transcribing? So look for things in your personal life also so again, it removes the fear of how it can help you. And I think that's my biggest message. So anytime you're doing a task or need ideas, always ask this question: can AI help me with this?
Yeah, Rajiv,
it'll open the door.
You didn't even tell me this, but literally we're taking a family trip next week as we're recording this. I did the exact same thing. And I basically asked it, we're a family of, so, I kind of gave the background. And then I said the same thing. What are 10 activities that we definitely need to do while we're in this area? I also then ask it, give me 6 restaurants that we should definitely have lunch or dinner at while we're in this area. And what was cool about it too is then I went back in and I said, so it would give me the restaurant. And then I would say, please go through the website and all online reviews and tell me the most mentioned dish that we should not miss while we're at this. And it comes back with it. So it's funny you mentioned that, literally, that we have not talked about that, but I'm doing the same exact thing. It gives me that. When it talked to us about the activities, I said, tell me more about this activity, and is it appropriate for a 17 with someone who has a 17-year-old son, or is it appropriate for, this? And it was amazing. Then it just breaks it down more. And then I said, tell me a little bit more about why and what time we should go during the day to have the opportunity to make sure we have the shortest line or the best opportunity to take advantage of this. I mean, it's just crazy, all the details that it was able to pull and give me all that information about. So yeah, I'm with you. Make sure you use this on a personal basis, because for me, the more I've used it on a personal basis, the more I begin to understand ways that I can utilize it in a business sense as well.
No, most definitely. And invariably, I think we'll all find, if you ask the question, can AI help me with this? Invariably, you will find that you become more productive in all aspects of life, not just business or profession.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, tell them the story though in this, because this is a perfect example when we were first getting started, where you took a picture of the dish and exactly what it did for you.
Yeah, it was Banza pasta. If I recall, that my daughter's favorite cooking dish. So I just took a picture of it and I uploaded to ChatGPT. Now this is 2 versions ago, so it's probably gotten much better now. And I simply uploaded the picture. And looking at the picture, it would be very hard for somebody to say that's Banza pasta, because pasta is pasta. So it actually read the picture and then gave me a recipe to make Banza pasta. So next time you're at a restaurant, take a picture of the food you like and upload it to ChatGPT right there, and you got a recipe, and you don't have to ask the chef.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, I mean, we've done that with even our refrigerator. Give me a recipe. Take a picture of what's in the refrigerator with the items that you see here.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. So yeah, no, I mean, listen, the basics of this is if you're just getting started, play with it. Take some time to get involved with it. And it's amazing to me. It's almost like the more that I utilize it, the more creatively I begin to understand ways I can utilize it in every area of my life, but especially in my business as well.
So resources to finish up this podcast episode for all of you that want to kind of learn, stay current, and kind of keep up with what's going on with AI, we have one place for you to go, realestateaiflash.com. That has 2 things that we point you to. We have a newsletter that comes out every Thursday morning with simple tips and tricks for you to learn and get comfortable with AI. So definitely subscribe and let us know if you have questions. Jimmy and I are very accessible. Just hit reply and we will get back to you with a response. And last but not the least, there's an AI playbook on the same website for you to access and bookmark. And of course, last but not the least, the podcast with the both of us is a resource for you as well.
Absolutely. Listen, this is a generational, in my opinion, opportunity for you to really have some technology that is going to change life, in my opinion, for a couple of generations coming up. So just make sure you're leaning in. Don't be afraid to try some things. Get started where you are. Everybody starts from somewhere. So whether you're an accomplished person that has been utilizing it for almost 2 years now since it originally came out, or you're just getting started, just lean in a little bit and you're going to be amazed at how it will affect your life. We hope this has been helpful, and we'll talk to you guys soon.